This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
Welcome, everyone. September is Suicide Prevention Month, a time to normalize real conversations, share accurate information, and of course, connect people to help. This year's global theme is changing the narrative on suicide, and that's what my guest today has come here to do. She is Cindi DuMond, an RN and a grief and emotional regulation consultant, a certified adult chair master coach, and someone with a very unique background as both nurse and funeral director. Cindi is devoted to guiding people through grief, overwhelm, and the unseen weight of loss with clarity, compassion, empowering tools. There's so much that she can help you with. So, Cindi, thank you again for being here again. And for those new timers, tell us a little bit about the work that you do, who you serve, and of course, a little more about the adult chair model frames and how that works with these conversations.
Oh, I'd love to. Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here again, especially this is such an important conversation. I thought we'd take this time this month to shed a light on it. For those of your audience that are just meeting me for the first time, my work is really devoted to helping people like your audience move through stress, overwhelm, and grief in all its forms and becoming, more connected to themselves and their own steadiness. And really getting the message that we're not broken. We're carrying what we had to survive. So that's my message. That's what I do. I'd love to tell you more about the adult chair model. It's a model that's used all over the world. It's a therapeutic model designed by Michelle Chalfant. And it really gives us a clear roadmap, a compass. You fill in your word. It's a framework to really understand ourselves. And here's a good way to think of them. Each chair represents a state of consciousness, a way that we relate to ourselves in the world. So sitting in each chair, there's 3 of them, actually helps us experience that perspective in real time. So, for example, in my office here in Daytona Beach, Florida, I have 3 chairs and I invite my client to sit in each chair depending on what they're going through. And also when I see clients at home on Zoom, I encourage them to do the same thing with 3 chairs. So the child chair is where all our feelings are formed. So, our feelings, grief, loneliness, fear, overwhelm, that's that child needing attention. The middle chair, the adolescent chair, is also called our ego. And that is a protector. Sometimes it comes out in shame, in stories, and assumption. It has protection strategies to keep us safe from all that emotion that child chair is feeling. And but it's a good part of us, but it can also isolate us, right, and hold us back. And then the third chair is our healthy adult, and that's where we return to ourself. The present moment, our truth, and we really have choice and agency in that chair. And this part of us can say, you know what, I can reach out. I can receive support. I'm not alone. Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for sharing that. And of course, talking more about the adult chair, adolescent chair, healthy chair. I didn't realize there were so many. All right. So today, again, as you mentioned, we're going to honor Suicide Prevention Month. And I really invite you all to listen here, not just with your mind, but with your heart, because suicide prevention is not just about statistics or systems. It's about helping people, reconnecting people to themselves, and of course, giving them hope. So what exactly is Suicide Prevention Month, Cindi, and why September,
Well, actually recognized all over the world the month of September. And it really gives everyone a chance to pause and to learn, and which is wonderful, because the more that we learn, the more that we can help each other and ourselves. It really is a month to break the stigma and to remind us that suicide, this is important, is not inevitable. It doesn't have to be inevitable. It can be preventable. And there's two important dates in the month of September that we recognize inside this month. I'd like to mention the first one is September 10th, which is World Suicide Prevention Day. And even though we celebrate it the whole month, actually on this one day, the whole world stops and they have vigils and they share stories of survival and committing to prevention. And I just think that's a wonderful, wonderful thing. The second day is every year, it's the same day here in the United States. And this is so powerful. It's September 8th. And on this day, it exists to raise awareness that we have an actual phone number here in the United States. It's not global, but it's 988 day on September 8th. And you can text 988, you can call 988 from anywhere in the United States, not only for suicide crisis, but any crisis. And it's just such a wonderful thing. It's a 3-digit phone number that you can text and just get immediate support. And its impact is really profound. It says to anyone in despair that help is just 3 numbers away. And I'd like to encourage your audience, if anybody's listening and this conversation feels heavy, I want your audience to know that they can take a pause, or they can even call that number. Someone's always waiting for them there.
Wow. And again, they don't have to go through this alone, as you said, right? So 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. And can we talk a little bit about some of the signs of suicide, some of the signs that someone really is at risk? What should we be looking for in our friends, our families, our coworkers, and those we know?
Well, there are certain signs that we can look to see if someone's in danger. Some are very familiar, like pulling away, expressing deep hopelessness, giving treasured items away, a sudden sense of calm after a long feeling of despair. There's also lesser known risks as well. And some of these are things we might not know someone's suffering from, like chronic physical pain, unacknowledged grief, or carrying heavy guilt and shame that never gets spoken aloud. And these can really weigh on someone's spirit just as much as the external risk factors can. And I remember a client once that came to me, not because they were actually talking about suicide directly. However, they had stopped showing up in their life. They had pulled back from friends and just lost joy for everything that they once loved in their life. And it was because they carried this enormous unspoken guilt and regret. And what they didn't realize were that these were signals from their body, from their mind, and, crying out for relief, for connection, for safety.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for sharing this. And I know a lot of people out there, might say, well, wait, there's some maybe lesser known risk factors, right? So as you said, maybe risk is real, right? But you say so is resilience. So can you kind of explain that?
Absolutely. Well, the lifelines that keep someone tethered is connection with safe people, and also a sense of purpose, having a sense of purpose in our life. And simple practices keep us connected, like we had spoke about many on your previous episodes that I've been in, like emotional freedom
Yeah.
technique, tapping, grounding ourselves, breath work, all regulate our nervous system. And that's what we so desperately need, tools to regulate our nervous system. And from the adult chair perspective, slowing down, when we slow down, we can really notice what's happening inside our mind and our bodies and even our thoughts. And we can catch these cues earlier, not only in ourselves, but in others as well. And that really gives us a doorway back to hope.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. All right. So if you are just tuning in, don't forget, Cindi DuMond here. We're going to get into a little bit about, the stigma and silence of it all. And she's here helping us today, obviously, as an RN, if you haven't heard, grief and emotional regulation consultant, certified adult chair master coach, and of course, very unique background, both nurse and funeral director. So thank you for talking today about suicide prevention. And let's continue to talk more, about, what's going on and some more of this, stigma and silence. And why do so many people really keep those thoughts quiet, would you say?
Well, like you had mentioned, it's really that stigma. That
Yeah.
stigma has such a powerful grip on us. It tells us to hide our pain, right? That ego, that middle chair wants to protect us, right? Um, in many families, cultures, and communities, there's a message, whether that message is spoken or unspoken, that if you're struggling, you're a burden, right? We don't want to be a burden. We'll be judged, maybe misunderstood, or even shamed. So people stay silent. But like I had mentioned before, staying silent really deepens that isolation, and it convinces us that we are utterly
Yep.
alone in what we feel. And once again, through the lens of the adult chair model, that silence comes from that adolescent chair, that part that thinks it's protecting us, but that it has to handle this alone, that if I'm seen, I'll be rejected. But that's not the truth, because when you are able to sit in that third chair, that healthy adult chair, we realize that we can reach out and we can say, I need help. And just that choice
Yeah.
breaks shame's grip and opens the door to connection. And that connection can really save a life.
Ah, thank you so much. Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing that. And again, September is Suicide Prevention Month. So I'm glad we're here talking about this for those that may be suffering, for other healthcare professionals out there, to anyone that may know someone who is in need of help. And, we talk a little bit about prevention, right? So we want to also talk a little bit more about, who really is at risk, would you say? I mean, could you give us a little more details on, is it the elderly? Is it young people? What's happening with society right now where we're seeing a lot of suicides?
Well, all of the above, young people, healthcare workers, physicians, veterans, elderly, it's really
Yeah.
across the board. And each one of these groups carries distinct pressures. Each one of them are so unique. Like, for example, the youth might be bullying. It could be social pressures.
A
It
lot of
can be,
that. Yep.
yes, growing up in a digital world, in a world that's moving so fast, they often feel disconnected. Um, Veterans, such a place for veterans in my heart, but the weight often comes from trauma, moral injury, such as combat situations that violate their moral code, or the challenge of re-entering civilian life after the structure of that service life is gone, and they're in such a structured life, and then they come home. It can be a challenge.
Yeah, it sure can. Well, also, there's a lot of prevention and, there's some strategies with that. Could you share how, what strategies, I should say, actually work with prevention?
Yeah. Well, people with mental health, for example, mental health or substance abuse
Okay.
conditions, treatment and recovery really reduce their risk and emphasizes hope. For those healthcare workers and the physicians and the dentists, they they have relentless stress, long hours, compassion fatigue, and the suffering they see on a daily basis can really the pressure of carrying other people's pains and their lives, often without space to process their own. And that's why I love what I do. But many people in this group that I mentioned, they feel like they always have to hold it together, right? Many of them are just carrying unspoken layers of grief and responsibility, often in silence. But each one of these groups as well, talking about that resilience, I want to mention, they carry profound strengths, such as the youth. It might be their creativity or their peer support. For veterans, it might be their loyalty and their brotherhood that never leaves them. And for healthcare professionals, that compassion that they bring, I love it. But those also serve as lifelines or anchors that can steady someone when despair feels so overwhelming. And talking about the adult chair model, that lens, no matter your profession, no matter your age or your culture, that healthy adult is inside of you, and it's capable of reclaiming your voice, your agency, and your belonging. And that's where the real prevention begins.
Got it. Well, thank you for that. And also, I want to hear some stories of hope, right? Because I know you have a lot of messages, and our listeners, viewers, can definitely benefit from some of these if you don't mind sharing.
Oh, I'd love to. Well, I received a lot of my training in the workplace. So, number one, these strategies are in school, education in school, even grade school, middle school, they call it, junior high, starting early. Like I mentioned, the workplace, when I was a school nurse and also in hospitals, they have people come in that educate us on that. And I think that's just so important. Access to care helps with um, peer support, like we had mentioned, just tuning in, asking questions, all save lives. And prevention is not only clinical, it's cultural. So it's about shifting the way we talk about mental health. We reduce the risk. In fact, research shows something important that I'd like to bring up. Parents sometimes often worry that, oh, if I mention it to my child, if I ask my child, am I going to be putting the idea in their head? And research shows it's the exact opposite, which is just amazing. And so simply just asking anybody, not just a parent, but asking your friend, are you okay? Are you struggling? Are you thinking about hurting yourself? Can actually be life saving because it sends a message that you care, that they're not alone, and that you can handle hearing their pain. And that's actually where I see the adult chair model come alive again, because in that
Yeah.
adolescent part, that ego wants us to stay quiet, to keep it a secret, that we can handle it, but when someone else creates a safe space for us, it gives permission for that adult part of ourselves to be seen and heard. And that's prevention, not just policy or programs, but real human conversations. They really open the doors to hope.
Got it. Wow. Well, I know you mentioned if someone you love is struggling in the US, you dial 988 immediately. And actually, I didn't know that until today, to be honest with you. I had no idea. So I'm thinking maybe there's other people out there that don't know that. You
I
don't call
love it.
911, you call 988. I'm sure if you call 911, you'd be okay, but 988 is the one, to start with. My goodness. And
Yes. And actually, veterans dial 988 and then press number one because they have special, a special segment for them. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I did not know it either until a few years ago. So I just think it's just wonderful. It's a wonderful story of hope.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, we still have some more time. Did you want to share another story or two?
yes, sure, I'd love to. I'd like to just leave your listeners with that, with the hope that suicide can be
Hmm.
preventable. No matter how heavy grief or despair feels, there's always a path back to steadiness. And it's so funny because we've been talking about despair, 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 and my business name is Don't Despair. And I was like, that's really why I named my company, because we don't have to despair. I mean, it's okay to despair, but we don't want to stay there. There are so
Yeah.
many tools and so many resources that really, but if we don't know about them, they're not available to us. And that's why I absolutely love what I do. Um, it's not just talk therapy. If you've heard me these last 5 weeks, I teach tools, easy tools that you can grab, you can reach for as lifelines to feel better. Um, also the adult chair model, it reminds us that we're not broken. We're just carrying what we've had to survive, right?
Yeah.
So, and when you connect to this healthy adult self, or if yours isn't available, if you're in crisis, you connect to somebody else's healthy adult. That's how we can bring hope and our life can return to normal because we don't have to be alone.
No. Oh my goodness, not at all. Well, thank you for making us, wow, enlightening us and helping so many. And you've been, helping so many. This has been your career. This is your life. As you mentioned, you started as an RN, then you were a funeral director, and just continue a little bit about some of the other work that you're still doing as well as a grief counselor.
Well, I'm a coach, a grief coach. I absolutely
Coach, thank
um,
you.
love teaching. So right now I have tapping courses available one-on-one where it's a 6-week course and you learn how to tap, and tapping you can do anywhere, even if you're at a table, um,
Yep.
having a business meeting, right? People don't have to know what you're doing. Um, so things like that. And I also offer one-on-one coaching. And I actually guide you. It's not like talk therapy where we talk once a week and then you don't hear from me.
Mm-hmm.
I give you the Zoom recording like you may be seeing right now for you to refer to back. You get homework, you get journal prompts, all related specifically to our session. They're not pre-made. I make them up after our session. You get them within 24 hours. You also get a phone call with me during the week. So I really
Good.
coach you. I'm your coach. I hold your hand.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for being here and for joining us. And if someone does want to reach out, again, don't despair coaching.com. That's Cindi DuMond. Do you want to share a phone number, any social media pages, sweetheart, too?
Sure. I'd ask too, if this conversation resonated with you, please share it because, like you said, you never know. You don't
Yeah.
know who's hearing, who's listening. 988, right? What an easy, we didn't know, right? A lot of people don't know. So my phone number is area code 315 516 3961. I am also all over social media. I love to hang out on Instagram. That's probably my favorite. Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on
Beautiful.
YouTube. And yeah, I would love to. Can I end with a quote?
Absolutely. Please do. Go ahead.
Oh, this is unknown. It's by an anonymous quoter, but it says, I thought it was just so perfect for today, is not weak to ask for
Mm-hmm.
help. It's not. It's just like using a flashlight in the dark. And I thought that is just so beautiful. So that's what I'd like to leave your viewers and your listeners with.
Thank you.
please reach out.
Thank you so much. You enjoy the rest of your day. And to everyone, again, don't forget 988. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, Cindi.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.